Thank you for having me. As Dawn said, my name is Annie Middlemist. I married into a Minnesota family, so I've heard loons at night. They had a house up in Cross Lake, up north by Nisswa. And I've been to both Paul Bunyan lands, the old one and the new one. Great claim to fame. And my grandfather-in-law was Leonard Odell, who started the Burma Shave Company. You guys might remember the signs by the side of the road. So those are my great claims to fame as me thinking I'm a Minnesotan. I also have very sweet blood. The mosquitoes in the summer send alarms out when I get off the plane in Brainerd that I'm in town. So that's my only hatred of Minnesota is, man, your mosquitoes are legit. So yes, I was a teacher for about 20 years. I taught special education, regular education, and gifted education. I've worked in charter schools, Montessori schools, and public schools. The one near and dear to my heart is the Montessori education. Really talking about the whole child, all children feeling accepted and unique and following where their brain is naturally taking them to learn. And then one of my friends called and said, there's this guy who's running a nonprofit. He's looking for someone to represent him in Arizona. I think you'd be the perfect person. Met Denny for lunch, and here I am. Love this. I love that I get a soapbox to talk about what is near and dear to my heart, which is children feeling safe and accepted in their world and teachers feeling supported to be their best selves. I learned a lot even just in teaching this, in researching this, and I'm just very honored to be able to come to Minnesota where so many community members are interested in helping their children find their best selves and come back and return to their community. So as I'm talking, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt. And let's get started talking about, Dawn said that Denny does have 3 education programs. I'm just talking about 2 today, Sanford Harmony and Sanford Inspire, because these directly relate to education. His other one is the Institute of Philanthropy, helping all philanthropists be successful. As we know, there's a lot of people out there who want to change the world, want to save all the 3-legged dogs or 1-eared rabbits, but they don't know how to do it. And so this Institute of Philanthropy invites people in to lead cohorts and go to classes to talk about how to find funders, how to build those relationships, and how to have a successful philanthropy. So that's his other division that he does at the Sanford Education Center in San Diego, California, which is just horrible to have to go visit, as you can imagine. Quite tragic when it's 120 in Phoenix. So we'll start out talking about the Sanford Harmony program, near and dear to my heart. This is what I actually travel around the country doing, is talking about the Harmony program. I train teachers and school districts in how to implement this curriculum in their classrooms without causing stress, angst, or tears, because stress, angst, and tears are usually right at this level with teachers. So making it fun. We've also been endorsed by CASEL recently. CASEL is the Consortium for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. We went through a whole vetting process with all of our research data and feedback from schools. So this is a huge, huge hurdle that we just got over in January. Really proud that we have that. So when you meet with educators and say you're a CASEL Select program, we got over a huge hump for the street cred of education, I guess you would say. So Harmony is designed to set the stage for positive relationships throughout a lifetime. This was what Denny's idea was that the sooner we get kids talking to each other, understanding each other, accepting each other with diversity and inclusion and peer relationships and problem solving, the better they're going to be at growing up. And all the research in social emotional learning has backed that up as well. That kids who are in social emotional learning programs are more successful in school and more successful in life. So here's our friend Denny. And this was his idea. He approached Arizona State University, he was living in Phoenix at that time, and asked them to develop a social emotional learning program. And because he didn't want schools to have to consider the budget in all of this and making this come to their schools, he, along with National University, have worked together to provide all of the materials and all of the training at no charge to schools coast to coast and Hawaii. So it's very generous of him and really shows his heart in how he wants the world to be. I'd like to show you this video really quickly. I think it helps really explain what Harmony does. I'm so sorry, I will skip on from that. Really thought I had that down, but as you can see, we had to do a couple of adjustments today. So going into talking about social emotional learning programs, the children who participate in social emotional learning programs have improved classroom behavior an increased ability to manage stress and depression. They have a better attitude about themselves, better attitude about others, and better attitude about school. Which one of these speaks to you personally? Which one do you say, gosh, I really wish there was a program for this? What speaks to you? What would you like to see in children?
Resilience and managing stress is really important.
Okay, managing stress, yep.
They have a better attitude about themselves, the rest will all fall into line.
Thank you, thank you. That is one of our most popular answers. None of these are wrong, they're all true. But when you have a better attitude about yourself, you're more open to learning, you're more open to growth. You can hear your teacher more, you may try more than once. We are seeing a lot of challenges with students coming in, even at kindergarten, victims of trauma and stress at a very young age, very angry, very not understand how to communicate, not understand how to even understand their emotions. So the more we can do to help teachers have some lessons that can help them with that and help them self-regulate, the better off they're going to be. So in the Sanford Harmony program, two major components of the Harmony program are Meet Up and Buddy Up. Buddy Up is where we are pairing kids together. So the teacher would take their roster and match kids together for about a week, and they'd have an activity to do every day with that child, just for a few minutes. Some are just a question, asking your partner a question, and some are actually doing an activity. But what we found is once we've had this sharing of information together, I'm less likely to bully you out on the playground, out in the cafeteria. I'm more likely to invite you to come sit with me to find that we have things in common, just from getting kids to talk to each other. So simple, but it has to be facilitated, and it has to be really intentionally done for a while to get those kids talking to each other before they really separate out into their cliques where they're just not going to welcome other people in. So I'd like to show you how fun this is. Please buddy up. Turn to a friend who you do not know well or do not know and touch thumbs so I know you have a buddy. If you need a buddy, see, administrators always laugh at this. If you need a buddy, put your hand up, and that means someone's going to be your buddy. Someone you don't know well, you guys might need to get up and walk around because you're already friends. You need to meet someone new. I'm very strict. All right, are you ready? Everyone has a buddy? Does anyone need a buddy? Everyone's good? Does life come in even numbers? No, it does not. Triplets are fine. Triplets are absolutely welcome. Okay, here's your conversation, friends. If you could spend the day with anybody, who would it be and what would you do together? Have a conversation. You have about 5 minutes. Who would it be and what would you do together? Go. All right, let's bring it back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You remember. So before we start sharing out our answers, because this is a really fun thing to do in any group, and when we work with the kids, they don't always share their answers. Sometimes at the beginning of the year, when you're trying to get to know each other, we want people to share out. But we also want to make sure that these kids are creating a safe relationship. Because some of the questions in the question cards that we provide are, what is something that makes you feel afraid? When's the last time you were brave? Well, that's a personal conversation, and we're trying to build a safe relationship. So please turn to your buddy and give them a thumbs up if they can share your answer. Please give your buddy a thumbs up if they are allowed to share your answer. Okay, great. So I've played this game several times across the country. Who has a buddy, and if you want to share their answer, there's always a crowd right here. There's always a table, isn't there? Who has someone where you were like, gosh, that's a really good answer. I kind of wish I would have said that answer. Yes, sir.
I would say this is the best answer to heroin. Just, it doesn't matter. Ralph said the person he would like to spend time with would be his wife.
There's always one. Really, Ralph?
He travels a lot.
Oh, good.
He spends as much time as he would like.
Yeah.
And so he got to spend the day with anybody in the world looking for that to be his wife, and it wasn't even close.
Wow. Good for you. How long have you been married?
40 years in June.
Congratulations.
You got a good start.
I'm still waiting to make my first decision.
Yeah, well, don't hold your breath. Really? Love is in the air in Minnesota. Who had, who had a different answer, like a celebrity or, did anyone have a celebrity answer? Yes. Good. Love it. Love it. What would you do together? That's a good one.
Roses are for sale at Walgreens as we speak.
That's right.
The red nose.
That's right. That's right.
I bought 100 of them this morning.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. You are optimist.
I'm going to work with my daughter's ELL students in class. And I bought some for my grandson and for my confirmation kids. So,
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. I love how things come out. Anyone else want to share an interesting answer that they got that they liked? How many of you, your buddy said someone who had passed away? Like a grandmother, a mother, an aunt, and uncle. So that's where this kind of can be sensitive sometimes when they say they want to be with someone that, we really talk to teachers about being sensitive about these conversations, keeping it to yourself or sharing it, or it might be, I'd like to spend time with my dad, but he's been incarcerated. It might be with my mom, but she passed away or she left the family. Like there's a lot that can come up, and we want to be sensitive to that. But still, it's a very honest and genuine answer. And with my kids, when I was teaching, the more they shared those things, the kids would say, I am so sorry. That must be really hard. Like, we don't have to keep it secret. The more we share and the more comfortable we are with each other, the more we can have these conversations and find support with each other. So thank you for being so candid with that. I've had some great answers as we've gone along across the country. So meetup is the other part of the day, and this is your community meeting where we set goals for our children. We help them set goals themselves, and they have a community meeting every day. And you usually see this in small, lower grade classrooms, preschool, kindergarten. They have a soft space, they have a rug, and they get in a circle. Why does that go away in 4th grade? Why does it go away in 6th grade? It's even more important. These kids need to talk. They need to feel like they're a valued member of the community. And so we have a community meeting every day called a meetup. And it promotes that community. It identifies commonalities and celebrates our differences, reinforces listening and respectfully responding, and then practicing communication and problem-solving skills. It's a great opportunity. And when we've done follow-up meetings with teachers in surveys, or just when I meet them out at conferences, when I'm out and about, they all say that their kids would say that this is their favorite part of the entire school year and the entire part of the day, is that having a voice, being on a circle, and being able to share what your challenges are and problem solve is so valued to them to have that voice. So for an example, you would set harmony goals with your kids, encourage our classmates, take time to understand others, listen to each other, include everyone, and be helpful. And in this picture, one of our San Diego schools, they went the next step and had the children sign that. So now it's not just goals, but it's more of an agreement that they agree they want to do that. And we talk to the teachers about really paying attention and recognizing when children are following these goals and meeting these goals, and really building them up when we see good, because often you get into a habit of only speaking to children when they're doing bad. And what we want to do is flip that conversation and flip that pattern and celebrate when children are doing things well and build their ego from there. So it's just 4 simple steps. The kids all greet each other. They share and respond with each other. Someone's sharing just 1 or 2. Any of you who have been teachers and have sat through show and tell with 30 children know that it is the longest 45 minutes of your life. No one's listening, so we only have 1 or 2 kids share at a time. It's very specific, and then they invite questions. So that child really takes over the meeting and invites questions from the group and is learning those kind of skills. And then our community check-in, we monitor our goals, our highs and lows, and we solve problems and teach children problem-solving skills without accusations, without pointing fingers, but recognizing behaviors and changing those behaviors. And then a quick connection at the end, which can be a high five, a song. Some of the Catholic schools may end in a prayer. However they want to do it, something that brings everyone together. So our units all cover the things that we want to see in our community. We want to see diversity and inclusion, empathy and critical thinking, which is very hard to teach, that empathy, communication, problem solving, and peer relationships. Wouldn't it be great if every child and every adult in society had these social emotional skills? In our Harmony Kits, thanks to the generosity of Denny Sanford, each teacher receives a Harmony Kit at no charge. And we also encourage that these go to the speech and language teachers as well as the special education teachers as well, so that it goes through. And also when we do our trainings, we invite the office staff, we invite the librarian, we invite everyone on campus so that we're all using the same language and all being helpful with each other. So in the kits, we have these quick connection cards, and there are a couple of decks of cards that have questions, just like the one we just did. It's a whole stack, so the teacher doesn't have to think about what am I going to do, what am I going to ask. It's decks of cards with activities for your whole group, with activities to do one-on-one, like with your buddy, make a paper airplane. But you each have to have one hand behind your back. Make up a secret handshake. Tie your shoe, but each one of you can only use one hand. Things where we have to work together to solve a problem is what's building that relationship. So we have all the cards. We have lesson plans and activities all written out with explicit instructions. Also, anyone who's been a teacher knows that trying to make copies out of a workbook can kind of be the hostile environment known as the copy machine room. And it leaves that gray thing on the rim. So we also have these online, and you can go online and just print page 84 right on your printer online in English and in Spanish. So digitally we have English and Spanish. We also have storybooks for the younger students on each of those themes that we discussed, and then games for the older kids and activities where they get to talk about social situations that are not real, although we know they're happening out there, so the kids can problem solve those in small groups. So we offer a lot of opportunities. And then also in our professional learning library online, not only do we have all this digitally, but we also have some training videos with yours truly training virtually, so that if you have a new teacher, they can watch the video, take a quiz, print the certificate, and take that to their principal so that they understand as well. So we've done as much as we can to really make sure that we are accessible all the way across the country. Oh, I'm sorry, I left out Z. Z, he's a little alien who doesn't really understand social cues, sometimes hurts people's feelings by accident, and he came crashing to earth, and the children, the younger, the pre-K kids, talk to him in these storybooks about how to make better choices, what friends are, explaining what friends are, and it really invites a good dialogue for these young children to problem solve themselves. And we even have questions written out for the teachers to ask at the end of the story, so that's all kind of guided as well. So a Z comes in all of the pre-K packs, although they are stolen a lot because the other older teachers like them as well.
Question? So this obviously goes from pre-K to
6. Yes, it is just an elementary program. The only differentiation we've done with older grades is we partnered with Best Buddies International. Best Buddies International is mostly for high schools. Started out with colleges and high schools, but now it's going down into elementary. Best Buddies is perfect for us because they pair intellectually and developmentally disabled students with mainstream students, and it's a club, after-school club. And these cards and quick connection cards and friendship cards have been really valuable in helping these teenagers build these relationships. So I have the privilege of training them in the summer, about 2,000 kids, and I do them in small groups of 200 at a time in this huge arena, and the paper airplanes were flying across, and they were making up dances, and they had their handshakes, and the high school kids just ate it up. And I work with them individually in Arizona as well. So near and dear to my heart, being a special education teacher, that we do that as well. So those cards really work for everyone. A lot of school boards and staff meetings start with those quick connection cards as well, to start questions off and really building it. It has to be from the faculty down so that everyone buys in. Because if you tell your kids to be nice to each other and you walk your kids to the lunchroom and you don't say hello to any of your coworkers walking down, the jig is up, that you're not following those rules of friendship and kindness. Any other questions so far? Yes. You're imagining a school, aren't you? Just hit it, didn't I?
What kind of response have you had with this in Minnesota?
We are just starting to explore Minnesota because I live in Phoenix. We have a very small staff. So this is only my second time coming to Minnesota. I came in January, survived it. I had an awesome coat. I had a fantastic coat, so I thought it was kind of cool. And then this time. So we're really just starting to explore, thanks to Dawn's help. And then with Minneapolis Public Schools, we've had a lot of conversations with them. And then up in Brainerd, the YMCA is talking about doing it in their after-school programs. So I told them I'm not going to Brainerd. I'll meet them halfway in St. Cloud. I kind of had to put my foot down on that. Again, love Brainerd. Nothing against Paul Bunyan.
School districts are New York, I understand.
We are in New York City Public Schools, Los Angeles Public Schools. That's 400 schools. We're training, I think, 2,000 kindergarten teachers in the next few months. A heavy lift. Houston schools, that's 400 schools. Almost all the way through Arizona. We work with the dioceses of Arizona and San Diego very closely, but the Catholic schools have really eaten this up as well, as being teaching kindness as well. And so yeah, we're in, I think we hit 1 million children and like over 5,000 schools across the country, which is pretty impressive since we only had like 10 people on the ground.
I'm really concerned with this as relates to my teachers and my grandson. My grandson's in second grade and he's bullied every day. The kid sits him and punches him, and the teacher says nothing. What am I supposed to do? You know, and now he doesn't want to go to school.
Yes.
You know, we get all that going, and then my kindergarten teacher has 5-year-olds telling her to screw herself.
Yep.
And there's nothing done. I mean, what is she supposed to do?
Right, right. And so much of this is teacher education, and so much of this is helping empower teachers because these kids are coming from homes of trauma. They're often victims of trauma, whether it is that they've moved 3 times before the age of 5, divorce, incarceration, hunger, homelessness. There's just a myriad of things. So it really is teaching the teachers how to do this.
Or a
And
college student who says, I don't have to listen to you because you're a woman,
yes.
right?
Can I add to your story? What you're just saying is so, both of his children are teachers in Brooklyn Center. They're quitting because they're treated by the kids so terribly and saying exactly what you're saying. They're quitting being a teacher so bad.
Yes, and that, being a former teacher, I would say that probably goes back to administration, not feeling the support. But it has to be a culture. It has to be a whole shift in how we speak to each other and how the teacher is speaking to those children as well. And you know, I mean, I've definitely had that. My dad says I don't have to do homework. My dad said if anyone hits me, I should hit him back. Yeah, I mean, I've heard it all. I worked with the myriad of children, whether they are identified or not identified, it doesn't matter. They're children, but they are creatures who have only been on this planet for 7 years or 10 years. That's nothing. We have a heavy lift. And helping these schools, and it is really coming with the social emotional learning and the research that's coming with test scores being higher and attendance going higher, that we have to spend as much time on this as we're spending on English and math. That this is what's going to get you to keep your job, get your job, keep your job, have a healthy relationship growing up. It can't just be 5 minutes a day because you don't teach math 5 minutes a day. You don't learn pole vaulting 5 minutes a day. So really making sure, and it comes from administration empowering the teachers to say, go ahead and take 30 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day in your classroom and talk about community and role model respect, because these skills have to be implicitly taught. They just aren't assumed. And we can blame, oh, parents these days, they don't care. Oh, parents, they're too busy. Oh, it doesn't matter what that is. We have a heavy lift and we have a job to do. So in my mind, this is why I love having my soapbox, is when I went into my classroom, I had from 8 to 3 to change a child's life. And I did whatever I could do to do it. Every teacher would say the same thing. So, you know, I think every teacher here has bought shoes or clothes for their students. We've all done it. Making a whopping $23,000 a year, and still my husband was like, get the Nikes. Come on, give him a really good pair of shoes. Go ahead. So Yeah, it's a heavy lift, and we have to do it. But if we don't, who is? That's why the Optimist Club, I think, is perfect. That we just keep marching on, right? We just keep marching on. And every kid's life that you change is another kid's life who you changed. So, and that your grandson being bullied, he's going to learn something from that, and he might teach empathy. He might be stronger. He's going to learn something. He's going to learn something. It's too bad because he's very young and shouldn't have to, but he's going to learn something. So, so this just helps empower teachers to have those conversations and give them the language. Yes.
I just have a story. I was at a Head Start program
Mhm.
this week. They were showing their data. They learned that their kids were coming into their program with low math skills, and what that told them was they needed to pay more attention to social emotional learning.
Interesting.
Isn't it? I think they get it about that basis for everything. You start there, and then all those other things can be learned.
And funny, in ASU's research with the schools that did Sanford Harmony, math scores in girls went up after doing this. Whether they felt more secure to learn, you know, that they were willing to talk, whatever it was, that math scores did go up. So test scores do go up when you feel safe. And my favorite Maria Montessori quote is, "Children learn best in a joyful state." And so we have to create a joyful environment for them to learn. Yeah, I mean, you can tell this is near and dear to my heart. Don't let me keep going on. I'll start crying. Yes.
I just want to say that I believe you were absolutely right on that it is with the administration.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as whoever was saying this over here, do not relent. You go to your administration, you get that done. Because that's where it rests.
Right. And there's no one who's having an easy day in education. The assistant principal is swamped, the principal is swamped, the counselor is swamped. But at the end of the day, we have to do whatever we can for the kids.
No excuse for that.
So, yeah, that's great. Yeah, exactly. And it really is coming around that now we kind of have data to sell it to different schools and talking about these things. And if you need to have a community meeting that's 45 minutes long and you push something a little shorter, then you do that, because maybe there was a shooting, maybe there was a flood or a tornado and some people lost their homes, or in Houston we had to spend a lot more time. We had to replace all their kits. We just filled all their kits when the hurricane hit. So we had to start over. And we did some webinars on trauma and recognizing trauma. So we jumped into that as well, which will take us to our next subject. So if you are a school, what we ask right now is that they sign a memo of understanding. It is not a legally binding document. What I call it is a written handshake, saying that you will do your best to implement the program with fidelity, and we will support you with training, online support, and all of our materials. So written handshake. Then we talk about an implementation plan. How can we help the schools implement to make sure it's sustainable? We send you all of your materials. We schedule a train the trainer so you have representatives in your district. And then enjoy and improve school climate all the way across. Simple as that. Any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
Answer to his question about the bullying. I'm in real estate, and I've had 4 clients, children commit suicide. And what should his grandson, when somebody's bullying him, how should he respond to that? What should they say? What are they supposed to do to help him get through it?
There are a lot of things we do say. One thing I think with kids that I've had going, you know, and I've seen that, especially with girls, my 5th grade girls, whew. Yeah, it's tough, because either you're too skinny or you're too fat. You're too dark or you're too light. Like, you're too something. They're going to find something. So, you know, when kids are being bullied, the kid who's coming home is really building up how great he is, looking for something in that child, maybe pairing those kids together and doing a mediation with those kids and saying, where is this coming from? Because if he doesn't learn to stand up and speak and find his voice, someone else will bully him next year. So we really need to help these children really be empowered and talk. But if I were the teacher, I would be having a mediation with the children. Not the parents, the children. Because this is their environment, this is my classroom, this is my world, and we need to talk this out. So I would absolutely face-to-face what is going on here and what is your motivation. Yeah.
Because my daughter went there yesterday and said, you know, we need to talk about this and what can we do? And so she said, okay, I'm so busy this week, but all right, you can come. So she went yesterday at 10:30, and the whole time she was there with the teacher kept saying, you know, I'm giving her my prep time to be with you. And my daughter said yes, and I'm asking you to tell me how we can help this situation. You know, she got nothing out of it. Okay, and this is a teacher who doesn't want any communication with the parents. Do not call me. Okay, if you want something, you want to speak to me, you email me, and I promise I'll get back to you in 24 hours. Parents are not allowed in the classroom. She doesn't want any help in the classroom. Her classroom looks, there's nothing on the walls.
Right.
I mean, it's just.
Right. It's too bad. I'm really sorry. I think we all know a teacher like that.
you're
I think we all know a teacher
your
like
daughter's
that.
Stopping at the wrong place. The next stop is the principal's office. The stop after that is the superintendent's office. The stop after that is the board, a member of the board. The stop after that is a public hearing at a school board meeting where you read something and say, this is what's happening in our schools.
Yeah, I agree.
Because she is the only advocate your grandson has. She's his champion. That's her job, right? That's your job as mom. You champion your children. So I agree. Don't give up.
Well, no, we're not going to give up. I mean,
Right,
we're champions
right.
for our three daughters all the
Right.
way through. We were always there, you know, helping out in school carnivals and doing
Yeah.
all those things to
Yeah.
build community.
Yeah,
And here it's just like.
yeah. And I can tell
we've had
you,
great experiences in
Right.
kindergarten and first grade. Now all of a sudden it's just
right, right. Yeah,
7. You know, it's like, hello.
yeah. It is interesting the power that kids feel sometimes, like big brothers, and I've had a lot of those conversations where, you know, you have a lot of power here. Settle down. But yeah, I'm sorry. I would just keep talking to people, so not everyone was like the
I'll be
perfect
quiet
teacher
and
I
let
was.
everybody else can talk.
No, it means a lot to you, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. You're not the only story, and he's not the only child. And something is motivating that other child and giving him power. Something's feeding that behavior. That's what the teacher needs to get at. What's feeding that other child's behavior? Because he's getting reward for that somehow. Something to find in that. Anyway, that's my child psychology 101 for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any questions about Sanford Harmony classroom curriculum? All right, we're going to shift. But don't worry, I remember what I said, so I can always go back later. Sanford Inspire, Denny's other dream. So Sanford Inspire is about making every teacher an inspiring teacher, is his goal. With investigating, implementing, and sharing, gain knowledge about what it means to be an inspired educator. How the teacher shortage in this country is shocking. And a lot of it is, as a former teacher myself who did leave not the industry, but the job, not feeling support and not really feeling you have the tools you need to be successful because things are changing. And there's not a lot of professional development time. And the first grade team may have different needs than the fourth grade team, so getting them all together doesn't really help. So what Denny did is, again, he had Arizona State University build these researched micro courses that are only 30 minutes to an hour. And teachers can go on the Inspire website, make a login, and they can take a course and print a certificate. So in Phoenix, in one of our school districts, when teachers do that, they bring that back, and that's a professional development hour that they can put into their file to help with their recertification or re-credentialing, whatever word you use here. So the district is not spending time bringing everyone in for a meeting. They're not buying breakfast. You can take the quizzes in your yoga pants that you're never going to do yoga in, sitting down comfortably, and then you bring in the certificate. Then you talk to the administrator about how it went. So if one of our courses recognizing signs of trauma in children, how great would it be if I had my staff watch the video the week before, then come to the staff meeting and say, all right, let's talk. Now we know what it is. We know what the issue is. Now let's talk and problem solve and apply it to us. So you're not spending that time on sending out the information. You're spending that time on actually getting work done. Or if I'm a principal and I observe a teacher who's really having problems with classroom management, that I can say, watch module number 42. Come back after you've taken it with your certificate, and let's talk about what you learned about classroom management. It really helps mesh, that communication barrier sometimes between administrators and teachers, whether it's a young teacher or an older teacher who has always done it the same way, and it's not working because the demographic is changing. So that's what Sanford Inspire is. It's a great website. Every module is free. Everything is free on the website. It's amazing. So well done. So here's our mission statement: to provide educators with evidence-based knowledge, tools, and practices to create learning environments where all learners are inspired to achieve academically and thrive professionally. Because our goal is not to get them through this week's Minnesota State testing. Our goal is not to get them to 6th grade. Our goal is to build people who can contribute to their community, hold a job, and be successful adults. That is our goal. We have to keep our eye on that goal and everything we can do to get them to stay there. Ooh, I didn't know it did that. That was kind of fancy. So Sanford Inspire is a cycle of continuous teaching development, engaging, analyzing, developing, sharing, and improving. That as a teacher, as any professional, you're never done learning. You're never finished growing. You should always be learning new things, improving your craft, improving your trade, and becoming better at what you do. So Sanford Inspire offers all of that at no cost. So you're not having to go back and get your first master's or your second master's, which is great. However, the typical teacher salary does not help support that. So this is a great way to get that professional development, and then working with the district to make sure those hours count towards your recertification. So right now, the impact of Sanford Inspire for pre-service teachers, we have almost 90,000 teachers. In-service teachers, 32,000. Over 2,000 school districts, and pre-K through 12 schools. So Inspire is not just for pre-K through 6th grade. It's all the way up through 12th grade through high school teachers. So it appeals to all of them. Some of our partner universities that we have around the country are putting these modules into their teacher ed programs, where you take so many modules and that adds up to a credit hour, and bringing that into their program. And then we also have school districts that are using it for pre-service teachers when they've been hired, onboarding teachers as they come in as part of their orientation, and then helping those teachers sustain their skills. So lots of different ways you can use it. There's no wrong way to be informed as far as I'm concerned.
Would it work for child care providers?
Let's look at the subjects and see, especially like the recognizing signs of trauma. There are definitely classroom management. I mean, child care providers, you know, you don't want it to look like a circus when you go in there. Mm-hmm. That we really prefer controlled chaos and a low hum when you're with children. So yeah, let me look at that. I think that's a really good idea. Absolutely, absolutely. And often the people who are working in care centers or after-school programs are paraprofessionals who don't have the education, and are often from the neighborhood. So in Los Angeles, LA's Best is an after-school program in 300 sites. And most of their kids come from those neighborhoods. So they don't have those social emotional skills either. So when they teach them, they're learning them. So it becomes a full circle of educating people. So we have the inspired pedagogy and meaningful relationships together, and coming out with inspired children who realize their unique potential, that all of kids have something to offer, and it's really up to us as teachers and parents to help them find those gifts in what they have to offer, because some kids just aren't going to rock those math facts. You can do times tables all day long, and they're just not going to get it. But there are some other really great things they can do. Give the kid a calculator and help him learn his other things. That was my special ed teacher in me. Only so many times you can do flashcards with a 4th grader. So these are on-demand modules. You can pause them and go if you don't have your full 60 minutes. Micro courses with knowledge, skills, and mindsets. You can do it anytime, anywhere, in many states or in districts. It's up to the district to decide, applicable to teacher recertification. And again, it's available at no cost. So here are some of our domains that we have. We have learning environment, for example, managing student behavior, safe and welcoming environment, and classroom procedures. As we all know, children need order and predictability in their classroom and in their life. Planning and delivery, a backwards design, components of direct instruction, components of inquiry, checking for understanding, because you can talk all day, but they may not be getting it. When you teach a whole lesson and then everyone fails the quiz, whose fault is that? Teacher. The teacher's fault. They didn't get the information out. Motivation theory, a culture of achievement, investment in learning and engagement. So these are all really applicable to anyone, even outside of classrooms. Student growth and achievement, how to set goals, track progress, and valuable assessment of your students. And then professional practices. Culturally responsive pedagogy. How are we responding to how our culture changes? And your culture can even change day to day depending on what's happening in the classroom and on campus. Professional competencies, professional conduct, and a reflective practitioner. So these are just a few samples of what are in all of these domains. So you just go on the website and you pick your domain, and you'll see the list of courses that you can take on our website. Again, you just make a login. It doesn't put you on some weird mailing list. We're not going to be chasing you down. But we do want our numbers, and we do want to be able to show Denny that this website is valuable, and all the research and all the time that we've invested in it really is helping teachers become better teachers. So even just sharing this information with teachers you know, children you have, brothers, sisters you have who are teachers. I didn't know anything about this, and I lived 15 minutes from ASU. So it's really fantastic. Any questions so far? Yes?
Can a teacher just participate in this themselves? The district doesn't have to endorse this or support it? Or
No, they don't have to. If you're looking for professional development hours off of that certificate, that's where you want to check with your district.
The teacher just wanted to learn how to mold your students better.
Yeah.
You could just do this yourself.
100%. I did it when I was teaching. I just clicked on the classroom management because I had quite the interesting 16. It was like Welcome Back, Cotter, I call them. They were the sweat hogs.
The concept here, most of the organizations that you're talking about like this are districts or schools or whatever. This would be the first, if we do something here with Roseville, would be the first civic organization to provide some local leadership.
Kind of, yeah, and really boots on the ground to say, you know, here's some tools we have that we would like to offer you based on, you know, a local guy who grew up here. This is his dream, and that you're helping it come true and believing in this. And we have great professionals in San Diego at National University who are helping us keep up with research, helping us stay current, always improving our website, our professional learning library, and helping teachers become better teachers. So if you know people who are struggling with teaching, you know, hey, try this website. It has some really great stuff that you might want to do. But as far as getting credit, see that.
I think we can find 100 teachers, independent teachers out there that are interested in this. We have a number of our Optimist members whose spouses are teachers, and I've chatted with some of them already. And yeah, we'll do this as an individual.
Yeah.
So,
And even a superintendent or principal just sending the link out on an email saying, you know, I know this is a tough time of year for everyone. We're counting the days. Can't believe it just snowed again. Just going to do this weekend. You know, feel free to look at this. I think this is really helpful, and talk to me about a course you took. Get that dialogue going, because this time of year is really hard on teachers. Testing forward is, you are counting the minutes in that classroom. Not that I did, other teachers did. But you know, the kids are done testing, and you need to stay fresh. You need to keep it exciting and keep them learning, and getting those fun projects going in the classroom and keeping those kids excited. And how do you do that? And so there's a lot of ideas here. So this is our next steps with Inspire, visiting our website, inspire.org. I want to say it's sanfordinspire.org now that I just said that. Create your login, explore your course options, meet with districts to implement, and enjoy cost-free staff development. So it's a great resource for staff development. And this is me. This is my email and my phone number. I also have business cards if you'd like them, but you can also just take a picture of the slide if you want to. If you're like me, like I do in doctor's offices, and I take pictures of things in magazines. I'm not like my mother, who would just rip out the page every time, so embarrassingly. Off it would go into her purse. So I am a trainer nationally. I would be passing on. You're welcome to get in touch with me, and then I'll introduce you to Shannon Smith, who I believe will be in charge of Minnesota, although she lives in Arizona as well until we get rolling, but she can always come out here and spend some time out here meeting with different districts if you need to. And we taught together. Well, we've been friends for 20 years. She was friends with my husband first. So she talks just like me. She walks like me. I have 2 kids. She has 4. She kept going. But besides that, she was a Montessori teacher for 12 years and a Jesuit volunteer for several years. So this absolutely is just near and dear to her heart as much as it is to mine. Anyway, in closing, thank you for your time. Are there any other? Yes, sir.
Any connection with Ron Clark and his philosophy when he taught in New York? And, his 11 classroom rules.
Right. We don't, to say connection, I would say we're all connected with what we're trying to do, whether it's the KIPP academies or different schools that are trying to do this in different programs. There is a responsive classroom. There's some restorative justice that comes into this. So I would never say anything against another program when we all are voting for the same mission, which is to help kids. So even schools that are already using another program, we talk about how to blend them together. And conscious discipline is one we used at the Montessori school, which was great, but it didn't give activities to the teachers. It was more about emotive thinking from the teacher's point of view, like how are you presenting yourself? What kind of stress are you putting onto the kids? That kind of thing. So blending that together with specific lesson plans has worked really well as well. So we're always studying all the other companies to make sure that we can work together. Yes, ma'am. Tooth Fairy, I can't get it out of my head. I just want to say Tooth Fairy.
I could have worn my wings. I left them in the car.
Would have been fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how you evaluate your success. Do you have some data? Is there some evidence behind any of your?
There is. We couldn't have gotten the Castle Select seal without evidence. So Johns Hopkins, we had the evidence from when it was developed and the early research at Arizona State. And then we hired Johns Hopkins to come in. You may have heard of that university. To come in and do research, and then we took that data and put that through as well, which I think should be on the website any minute now. And I'm working on it to get into our presentations, but I need her to dummy it down to my level so I can actually present data specifically, like bullet points. But yes, so what we really found is that most classrooms are doing the Meet Up and Buddy Up and are having great success, and that they've seen a great shift in their classroom and how teachers and students are treating each other. The trick is making that real time for those specific lessons. So again, that kind of comes from administration, giving them that time, blocking that time as important, that they're having a hard time finding time for those specific lessons. We do have sometimes guidance counselors go in and do those lessons, but you have to make sure the teacher doesn't leave the room, that it's all part of flowing through, because often as a teacher, when another adult comes in, I mean, you get to go use the restroom for the first time in 11 hours. But the teacher needs to be a part of it. So we don't just bring someone else in to talk about how to be kind, that the teacher can use that language. So working together with the counseling office has been very successful as well. So yeah, we definitely have evidence that it works. And I think you all believe it does. I think you all know that getting kids to talk and talk about their feelings can't be wrong. Can't get worse. It can get worse.
What about like follow-up times for 20
Yes. So we have a couple of options. We have our online training video where we pause the video now and turn to a friend and ask that question. What did you, so it's still me. So if you get tired of me, it's still me. Then we also have on our Train the Trainer, this is where we want to do Train the Trainer and have representatives from your district that are trained in it and know how to give the trainings. And then on our website, we provide the whole PowerPoint deck as well as the notes. So you can present to your schools at any time you want to. And then what we've talked about in some districts we did in Phoenix, we just did an event, one half day, like several districts were early release on a Wednesday. So we had an event on a Wednesday afternoon and invited anyone to send someone from their school to this event for retraining of Train the Trainer. So we have several things we can do. I don't know what just fell out of there. Any other questions? Yes.
So what have been some of the barriers? Because you're in the New York schools and the Los Angeles schools to getting school systems to adopt this. What's helped you
A lot of it is empowering them to take time and see value in it. The number one, absolute number one pushback I get is I don't have time. I absolutely don't have time. And I started out saying, I know, you're busy. And now, because I've been doing this longer, or I'm older, or the news is getting to me, I don't know why. But I kind of get a little sassy with my pushback, and I say, if you don't have time, then who does? Someone has to take time. We have to find the time. You have these kids every day. And again, coming from the principal, the assistant principal saying, how are things going in your room? How's your community meeting going? We're all going to do this together. It's okay if math goes from 55 minutes to 45 minutes. It's okay if language arts goes from 55 to 45. Like, we can shave a little off here and here and still get those test results, because the research is showing that when the kids feel safer and they're doing SEL, their test scores do go up because they can hear you better. And they've had time to talk. So if a child is saying, listen, this happened on the kickball court today at lunch and it wasn't nice and the boys wouldn't pick the girls, say, that must have been really upsetting. Let's put that in the parking lot for our community meeting. Go back to teaching. So you know you have a time to problem solve, not getting pulled in 10 different directions, which as a teacher, boy, you lay out your day so well, so well. And that bell rings, you're like, what just happened? What did I get done today? So, so really giving them time, and we do the meeting with them. We do a meetup with the teachers. We do the buddy up with them several times. They go through the cards, and they make a plan during our training. What time are you going to do this? What are the first activities you're going to do? What does this look like? Make a plan, write it down. Has really been helpful. Not just, here's something fun, throw in your card, good luck. We do a lot more of the helping them. And once they see the results and one or two teachers says how much things have changed, then they buy in. They need buy-in from their culture, not me.
Where's the leadership coming now from, like the Houston district, LA, when it was at the board level, superintendent level, the principal level, individual school teacher level? Where's the leadership and the spark coming to get these projects going for you?
So what we're seeing in Houston, for example, is Houston and Dallas have social emotional learning teams in the district. So it came from the superintendent. He said, this is great. We started meeting with him. Then he passed it on to the social emotional learning department. They got together as a team of 6 or 7 people and said, what does this look like? They set up a time for us to come in and present to more schools. So I presented to all the principals in the district, like 3 45-minute presentations. Then they signed up if they wanted to send a teacher to the train the trainer. And now the SEL team of the district, they are all well-trained. So they go out to the schools and they do the trainings themselves. So we don't have to do anything. It is all in-house. They know what they're doing. They observed us. They shadowed us. And then we cut the cord and off they went. So they just contact us with, we'll send them new slides. They'll ask us for more plush Z's to hand out at trainings to help them, because they're saving us on so many of our travel costs and such. So it's really empowering that SEL team in the district. Seems to be the spearhead of it all, because they know what they're talking about and they speak the language of the district. So yeah, but we go in and do the trainings and have some fun, and then we make sure there's someone to carry that torch in the district, so we don't just leave. Yes, sir.
Do you have any relation or awareness or involvement with Teach for America?
Very much so. Denny has worked with them a lot. I know in Arizona we have several people working at our company who are future or are past Teach for America teachers. What we're looking at is using their alumni base to go into schools and build a relationship with their alumni, because the drawback, if we have a Teach for America teacher, so let's say you have 4 in your school, we don't want to just be in 4 classrooms. So if we train that Teach for America teacher in Harmony and that teacher goes in a classroom and he's there for 3 years and leaves, I have not changed the culture of that school. So we really want to go to the alumni back into those schools so that it is a school-wide implementation. Does that make sense?
Not only does it make sense, but it gives you continuity, which is one of the things that's going to be
Exactly.
helping you to win the war.
Exactly. So at the beginning, we're like, oh, this is great, give it all to Teach for America, and then we realized that that's not going to change a school culture. One classroom at a time. It needs to be.
The teaching community, as far as I can tell, because they do, and they don't necessarily follow the
Yeah, and I think you can say that about anything. I think they're definitely a great company. They're definitely trying to make change and get into districts that can't find teachers, and they train their teachers well. And
For quite some time.
yeah, so again, I would never say anything less than praise for people who are trying to make the world a better place. So, but yes, we are very much in touch with them. Denny might be on their website. I'm not sure. He likes to get out there, do it himself. He's no shrinking violet, I'll say that. Right, Don?
That's true. You're the only person in the western United States who you're mentioning your colleague pretty much taking over Minnesota. What's your game plan for expanding your staff support? And is it an open checkbook for Denny to fund all this work that you're doing, or just what?
So Denny always wants this to be free. We may be shifting into a request for proposal where districts apply to get what would be a grant, which would be all the materials and training would be in grant form, so that we can track their implementation a little better. Right now, we just haven't had a lot of control on that. But yes, it will always be free. And then as we see a demand out here in Minnesota, sometimes we hire per diem trainers who are former teachers. And sometimes they have another job or they're already receiving retirement, but they just believe in this and they go into the schools and train, so we pay them on a per day basis. But right now we don't have the demand yet to do that.
There's a term, ambassadors.
Yes.
Is that term still used?
Oh, yeah.
Would this person be one of your ambassadors then?
They would be a trainer. But yeah, I mean, I call us all ambassadors. I feel like we all represent. In-house, we have a lot of different titles. I have several different titles I've had in the past 2 years. But when it comes down to it, I'm an ambassador. I love this and I represent Denny's dream.
Would be a paid position.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Would be a full-time position.
Per diem would just be paid every day that you work. You'd be like a temp, kind of. We'd call you and say, can you go in and work with this district? And they'd get paid that way. So it works really well for retired teachers and counselors because they understand what they're doing. In San Antonio, we got a guy who actually was a behavior specialist from the district who had retired and went back in. So he knew their language, he knew the people. That's how we like to do it, but first we need to understand our culture in Minneapolis area and see what would be needed. So we need to be thoughtful about that.
So I think there are people in this room that would qualify for the very position you're talking about.
Oh, 100%. Right. So once that comes up, then we put it on our website and we look for a trainer and I get the word out, or Shannon would get the word out in Minnesota. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great job. Every time I do a training, I have at least 3 people ask me how I got my job because it's pretty delightful. Sitting on a Southwest airline flight, not great. The travel's a little hard. Missed my son's track meet yesterday, but I love what I do. I believe in what I do, and that's why I get on these airplanes.
And kind of another basic question, of the 82 modules, you can pick and choose, obviously, the number of modules. Now, the people that you have in your numbers here that are participants, how many modules have they utilized? One, all 82, or how many modules are being used at this point?
It would be a few. They would be gathered in clusters for a professional development, kind of making their own course for developing. So it's hard for us to track exactly who's taking how many, or if our usership went up tomorrow for them to be able to say, wow, Annie really sold that. We just don't have that capability. So I just send the message and hope for the best. I'm your front man. I couldn't even get sound on the computer, Dawn. Come on. Yes? That is a very good question, and unfortunately, I'm not an Inspire specialist. I'm a Harmony specialist. But if you want to give me your information, I'd be happy to connect you with someone on that. Yeah, I definitely have heard from districts and schools saying how much they love it, how easy it was for those pre-boarding teachers when they come in at the end of July, how great it's been to send them into the room with more than Harry Wong's First Day of School. Is that the book we all got? More than that to get going. So, yeah, it's been very empowering for those pre-service teachers, I think.
Now, this is a promo kit. Are these readily available from your office, or how does everybody get a copy?
So those are really for principals or superintendents, the big folders. That has our scope and sequence. It has our implementation and sustainability guide, and I have probably 5 or 6 of those. And then our website has all the information you could possibly need. from there. His head is spinning right now. He's so excited.
Yeah, but it seems
He's like,
to me
Annie, we're going out later.
At an absolute minimum, he could come up with 10 teachers, as an example. The
Yes,
Roseville system.
yes. And I
Could
think,
at least come up with 10 teachers, so we would end up with a civic level, community level project with 100 teachers. I don't think that's a major problem at all.
and yeah, and I wonder if you even want to think even more with that, with talking to district leaders and school leaders, saying, what gap are you seeing in your teachers? Like, is there, like, we're seeing patterns in kids. I'm sure there's a pattern in teachers, like, gosh, I just wish they got a little bit more of this in college. And then maybe say, we want to get 100 teachers to take this course. We want 100 teachers to take this cluster of courses, even more focused, to help our community better with recognizing signs of trauma, classroom management, whatever it is. Again, this is your mission to take on, but I think if you're trying to make one shift, have everyone on the same plane towards that shift. Does that make sense?
Well,
So you can get a
individual
conversation
desire.
going.
Not every teacher wants to excel. A lot of them are just, they're there. And what you want is those people that have a strong desire and passion to excel and to grow.
Yeah.
Those are the people.
And I'd say most of them do. Yeah. I would definitely say 90% of the teachers I know always want to do a better job. Always want to do a better job. So 100% of my Montessori team always want to do a better job. Yeah, I mean, I know teachers tend to get a bad rap, but they all want to do better and they all want to help kids, and rarely do they quit because of the kids. I can tell you that. It's usually administration or parents. Hi, Mary. Welcome. Yeah, but there needs to be a dialogue.
You need to have the support.
Yeah.
And if you,
Yeah, my master's that I just finished was literally on the connection between social emotional skills and in school leadership and teacher turnover. That there's an absolute direct. My Montessori school, we didn't get a raise for 8 years. We made no money. We had horrible benefits, and no one left. Why didn't we leave? Because our champion believed in us. We felt we were doing something really important, doing really important work. We didn't leave. So it came so much from that, feeling that we were doing something really important. So, yeah, no, I understand, and we all have ideas on how we would change, and I only have so many soapboxes and so many things I can stand on, but send her the link, yeah. Just email her the link or give her the brochure and say, I know you're having a hard time. I met a former teacher. I looked at him who really liked these. It might just help you with the questions to ask to your administrator, like, hey, I took this course, and I thought about this, and then go to your principal and be like, what do you think about me shifting this? Or I had an aha moment, like maybe if I put the kids in this seating arrangement, or we do something really physical before we start sitting down, like these kids need to get the energy out. We talk about kids who, they wake up in the morning and their parent is, get up, it's time to go, we're late, hurry up, grab your breakfast, get in the car, we gotta go, where are your shoes? I can't believe you forgot your instrument. Back to carpool, get out of the car, you gotta go. Or getting on the bus, and the bus driver says, sit down, be quiet, we've got to get to school. Oh, there's traffic. And they get off and they get into the classroom, and the teacher's saying, why is Josh in such a horrible mood? What's his problem? But if you have that buddy up in the morning and you have a community meeting, you get to flip that. And, I was a working mom. I'm sure I said those exact same things to my children. And trying to get to work by 8 o'clock with the kids being dressed and ready for everything. And then you drop them off and you're like, bye, have a great day. And they're like, yeah, thanks for that head start. So if they get to walk in and the teacher says, I am so happy to see you today. But if you have 36 people, it's hard for that to happen. So if I'm pairing up my kids, I know that at least you two said, good morning, nice to see you, good morning, and you greeted each other. Because I've gone through a whole day where a principal said, how was Josh today? And I'm like, well, he did his homework. He showed up, he was quiet, he didn't get in my way. I guess he's fine. But I don't know because he didn't pull my attention, and that's not fair. Josh deserves someone to look him in the eyes that day. So that's where a lot of this, it really helps the teacher take a little load off of them and make sure that kids are being greeted in a friendly manner. Yeah, and have a voice.
I think for a lot of school districts in Minnesota, they do have a responsive classroom. I mean, it's been an expectation, I think from MDE, it's all part of the system. I think what I see here is to come in and sort of say, here's this project, we're all going to do it. To me, it seems like it could sell itself by saying, you're already doing great things.
Here's some more tools. Mm-hmm.
And I think, a teacher only takes one piece. I mean, when you say there's 82 components to this.
Oh, that's for the Inspire modules, not for in the classroom. Those are just micro courses you can take.
Even in the Inspire model, it's like, oh my gosh, when I think of all the things that our teachers are doing every night at home to be prepared. But if they could go there and say, oh, I've been really struggling. Oh, you have one on this, and use it as a resource.
And if you get to choose that goes towards your professional development, towards your recertification, you don't have to go sit on a Saturday from 8 to 3 having someone talk to you about something. You can do specifically making yourself a better teacher is a great shift in that. And in the Harmony program, we do definitely take it piece by piece. Like for the first month, let's pair up your kids. You don't even have to do the buddy up chart yet. Let's just get your kids talking. And then the next month, let's make sure we're having those community meetings every day. So we don't say, here's the box of stuff, change your world right now, because I would be in a puddle of tears if you handed me that in August. I would be a mess.
There's so many expectations that all of our
Yeah.
teachers have, and products that each school district has vetted,
Right.
has worked really hard on, and it's sort of hard to go, unless you know the product you're using isn't successful for you, you're not likely to necessarily look for something new, but I think this could be certainly a great tool in our toolbox for someone that wants a little more comfortable. And down the road, it could grow into a lot more, but I think selling the whole package is sort of difficult when there's such high expectations already around responsive classroom or whatever the program is.
Right, right. And that's why all of our trainers are former teachers. So we've had a kid throw up Gatorade in the corner, and we've been through all of it. So when they say how stressed they are, we are very empathetic to their cause.
Gary Wilson, I asked him the question, how many participants have completed all 82 modules? He says there are about 4 or 5, something like that. So people are picking and choosing the modules that they use based on the topic that they're interested in.
Absolutely.
Which is great. It's a smorgasbord.
Yeah.
Which I think is
Yeah.
very, very good.
Absolutely. 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 Any other questions?
And the
All right.
recipient receives the certificate at the end of each module that they complete.
In Inspire, yes.
Yeah, so there could be 82 certificates that they would receive.
Sure.
So it's extrapolate.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, well, thank you. Unless there are additional questions, thank you very, very much, Annie, for coming.
Yeah.
And, I think everybody has your telephone number.
And you're welcome for the 50-degree weather that I brought with me. Half as warm as Phoenix, but still, I did my best.
Better leave by tomorrow.
I am. I'm out of here tonight. I'm not messing around. I went to Target, got my snacks for the plane, charging my iPad. If you need any recommendations on Netflix, I've literally seen every single thing on Netflix. Got comedians, crime dramas, British dramas.